Good morning, everyone. It's Robert from On My Turntable. Hope you're having a great morning this morning. It is Tuesday morning. It's a coffee kind of morning. Want to attempt to tackle Black Sabbath and the Albums to Discover series. If you recall, the last time this album appeared in the shuffle, I'm going to attempt to do this. This is going to be a big task, and hopefully I'll be up to the challenge. So before I get into it though, please hit the like and subscribe button below. Thank you to all that have liked and subscribed so far. You guys are amazing. I love you all. I want to continue to put great content out there to be informative and to show you guys some great bands and artists that I have in my collection. And it's all because of you, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions that continue to feed my obsession to do this type of thing, and I love it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's get into it. So Black Sabbath themselves is a band, one of my favorite bands. Just remarkable. They've released 19 studio albums, 8 live albums, 16 compilation albums, 7 video albums, 1 extended play, and 30 singles over their lifetime. The members include the one and only, the amazing vocalist John Ozzy Osbourne, one of the best guitarists ever in Tony Iommi, Terrence Geezer Butler on bass, an amazing bassist, and the heavy drummer Geezer Butler. That's my favorite lineup. They've had many lineups over the years. Later on, they would include Ronnie James Dio after Ozzy left, and also Vinny Appice. But again, as I said, my main love of the band is the 4 original members. You got their debut album, which I'll be talking about in a moment. The awesome one. What a great debut this is. It really is. Released in 1970 of February, and then March, April, May, June, July, August, September. 7 months later, they put this amazing album out. This was my introduction to Black Sabbath way back when. This isn't the original that I had, but this was my introduction to them, and I was just blown away by this album. And I didn't realize that there was many more to come. But this one was released in September of 1970, same year. Remarkable. Then you have Master of Reality, sorry. Third studio album released in 1971. And then you've got Volume 4, considered by many one of their best. This was fourth album, released in 72. So you can see they're just kicking out albums left and right. Another one of my favorites, this was the second introduction to the band for me, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, still one of my favorites. This was 1973 released, the 5th album by them. The 6th album, Sabotage, that was 1975 release. And then you got the underrated, and I was listening to this one the other day. It's a good album. It really is. Technical Ecstasy, 1976 release, 7th album by the band. Then you got Never Say Die, the 8th album, 1978 release. Ozzy had left after that album. They brought in the great Ronnie James Dio for Heaven and Hell, 9th studio album, released in 1979. And I don't have any other further albums as far as studio albums yet. They're on my radar, as many. My list is miles long right at the moment. But I do have this compilation album, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. And it was released in 1975 in the UK and 76 in the States. The band didn't even know it was released until fans were asking for autographs for the for the album. So it's a true compilation album, but the band didn't realize it was released, as I said, until the fans said, "Sign this, sign this, sign this." So that's what I have as far as a discography for the band. Again, there's many albums out there. I can't rank them individually. I think every album is fantastic, as I always do with each band. I can't say one's better than the other. Individually on their own, they all stand out. They all have standout tracks, and I feel as each album went out, Ozzy got better. And if you consider when they first started with this one, they were young dudes. I don't think Ozzy was at his prime yet, even though he sounds fantastic on this one. He wasn't at his prime as far as his vocal range. The other band members were kicking in, like they were remarkable, just remarkable on this album. And I love the cover, iconic cover on that one. So debut album released in February 13th, 1970 in the UK, and June 1st in the States, 1970. The first song, Black Sabbath, self-titled Black Sabbath, has basically been referred to as the first doom metal song. It's just got that doomy, gloomy feel to it. So you think of doom metal today, it's pretty dark and deep and growly, and but I kind of agree with these guys in saying that the title track was definitely the first doom metal type of track. The album itself reached number 8 in the UK charts and number 23 in the US. So right off the bat, it was a hit. And it's also included in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. So I totally agree with that one. I'm glad I have it. It's a combination of blues-influenced hard rock and, of course, heavy metal. It's the earlier forms of heavy metal, along with the Zeppelins and the Deep Purples and the all those heavy metal bands at the time. This was definitely included in that blues-based hard rock heavy metal. The album ranked number 31 on the 100 greatest metal albums of all time. In 1994, it was ranked 12 in the top 50 metal albums of all time. It's basically crushing atmosphere of doom and intense and relentless. It just grabs your soul and takes you on a journey for that, however long this album is. I can't remember how long it is, but it definitely it draws you in. It's not a depressing album in any way because the tracks and the playing are so good. It's just the themes are so dark and deep and wonderful stuff. Again, Black Sabbath, often considered one of the first true heavy metal bands, because their focus was on darker themes. Unlike Deep Purple and Zeppelin and Uriah Heep, all those bands, they were heavy and deep, but they didn't have the dark themes. They had more blue-based women and partying type of songs. But these guys were doom and gloom for sure, in a good way though. So the title track on this one, there's the track list there, and just the cover. I mean, it just entices gloom. Black Sabbath, the title track, was the first song really to capture horror in music. Begins with that atmospheric heavy rain, and then the single tolling of the bell, ding. You know, it's just remarkable. And then Tony Iommi comes in with this slow riff, and it's based on what's called the Devil's tritone. It was avoided by medieval music, that tritone sound, because they felt it resembled the sense of evil. So a lot of medieval music didn't have that sound in it, but of course Sabbath had to have it for sure. Um, the vocals of Ozzy, as I said, just not hitting his prime yet, but are still so good. He's an amazing vocalist. He really is. Um, you can hear the despair in his voice when he sings, when he moans, "Oh no, no, please God help me." It's just, um, it was the song was so haunting in a way that became the primary influence of doom metal and basically the doom metal bands of the '80s. It's just had that dark and gloomy feel to it. But what an amazing opening track, just to draw you into the album. It really does draw you in. The next song, "The Amazing Wizard," um, it opens with blues, a blues form in there for sure. Does that great harmonica, and then you got this bass playing by Geezer Butler, who was just a remarkable bass player. And then, what can you say about Bill Ward's drumming? Simply remarkable. Is one of the top drummers for sure. And then you got this relentless melody going on. Repetitive, not relentless in a bad way, just this repetitive melody. And you got the Ozzy's vocals and harmony going on. And then you got some jazz influence, rhythms, some drum rhythms going on as well. I love the leads in it as well. It's just amazing. And then it's a cool track. It really is. It kind of takes you out of the realm of Black Sabbath. It just takes you out and wakes you up. And then Behind the Wall of Sheep, kind of inspired by the psychological horror writer H.P. Lovecraft. And then there's amazing riffing by Iommi and Butler in this one as well. And then another great vocal performance by Ozzy. I love the opening riffs on this track. It opens slow, and then the vocals kick in, and then it kicks in with this groovy track. It's just amazing, amazing stuff. Really remarkable song. NIB. If you love bass, this is definitely a song for you, and it's worth worth the price of the album. Just the bass solo on this one, so funky, and also one of Ozzy's more dramatic performances on the album. Just it demonstrates how broad his vocals can be. Just amazing. He kind of delivers this spooky, offbeat profession of love, in only the way that he can do it. But yeah, it's blistering solos by Tony Iommi as well. It's got that deep bluesy style. He developed that style after losing two of his fingertips in a workplace accident. The day before he left, or the last day of his job, he lost the tips of two of his fingers. He down-tuned his guitar to make the fingering easier on the guitar, and he manufactured fingertips to compensate for the loss of his fingertips, and that's how his distinct sound is. No one else can play like him because of that fact. But it did influence guitarists like Slayer's Jeff Hanneman and Pantera's Dimebag Darrell, just to name a few. Anthrax, Scott Ian. All these guys were influenced by Tony's playing. Next is Wicked World. It's a cool track. It's a gem of a song when it begins. It really is. It shows off the talent of each player. Bill Ward, and then the distinguished vocals of Ozzy. Um, Another bluesy track. It's catchy riffs on that one, resounding bass guitar that's just highlighted in that song. Um, Raw vocals by Ozzy, um, and they were kind of throwing out a political message on that one. Kind of like what they did on War Pigs and Paranoid. Um, they've seen the world that wasn't at peace, and they chose to make their music darker and less ominous. Um, and Again, a similar type of um, song is just amazing. It's a remarkable album. I think it's just one of the best debuts out there for sure. Um, and Remarkable. It's not a lot of songs on it, but it fills you the way it needs to fill you. It's remarkable. Definitely an album to discover. Um, Black Sabbath debut. So hopefully I've done it justice, because it's a hard one to do when you tackle bands like Black Sabbath. But let's see what's next on the shuffle. Finally. So here's my list here. Nothing up my sleeve. We'll go to random item, see what we have next. And again, if I choose something that I've already spoken about, I'll just choose another album. Steve Hackett. I've already talked about this one, so I'm going to switch this one up. Amazing album on its own right. But we'll choose another one here. I've already talked about Joe Walsh. We'll choose another one. Let's choose something I haven't talked about in a while. There we go. Leon Russell. Asylum Choir, number 2. That's different for sure. So there you have it, guys. There's Black Sabbath's debut album. Definitely an album to discover. Enjoy. Have yourself a rest of the day. And enjoy. Be safe. Love you all. Thanks again for everything. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.